So generally, what do you think about this? What do you think about the business ecosystem in Africa and how young people are?
I'm telling you, you have no choice. You have to do.
Yeah, and why did you start your own business?
Don't make a lot of assumptions. Don't think this is what people want. That user should be the one telling what they need, right? And then we both click.
So how long did it take you to build your current product, that is BuukMeNow?
For me, I know where I'm coming from.
If you wouldn't be happy with your decisions in 20 or 30 years time, then you better start putting the work in. Yeah. So have you reached your first 100 customers, and how long did it take you to acquire that number of customers?
You guys don't kill me. It'd be wrong for me to be thinking myself, like trying to start something, I'm already thinking it has to be on the same level as, it's not possible.
I think last time I made a video on TikTok and Instagram, and I was saying, why do young Ghanaians not start their own businesses or their own startups? So when you look at the outside world, in America, in the US, in Europe, these young guys are building their own businesses. So Bill Gates started Microsoft at 19, Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook at 19, and I've been following Y Combinator, and a lot of these guys are in their early 20s and they are starting these businesses that scale up to millions, but you don't find the same in Africa or in Ghana. So I feel one reason is because we don't have the information or the knowledge of how to create these businesses. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I created my channel to talk about this. So generally, what do you think about this? What do you think about the business ecosystem in Africa and how young people are going into this? So what do you think about all what I've said here?
I think it's a good one. I think what you're trying to do makes a lot of sense. And I agree with you, because when you look outside, there are a lot of people doing great things when they're very young. And it's very interesting because also when you look at some of the things that trend out here, there are still some people that at a young age, like they achieve certain milestones.
Yeah.
But it's one-offs. So you can either hear maybe in the next 5 years, just one person. That, for example, there's this one, I think that happened recently. This Ghanaian student, he had dreads.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get him expelled from the school.
Yeah.
I think there was some legal issue. But now he's in the States, and I heard he's built like some PC or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you get this one-offs, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's not part of the culture here that a lot of young people have been exposed to that.
Yeah.
My friend would say, shout out to the greats, my friend would say, there's lack of inspiration with certain things.
Yeah.
So we find people that are in the medical field. We find people that are engineers, like mechanical engineer, petroleum engineer. We find people that are in the popular things over here, right? Like popular professions. But we don't find people that move the next generation into the maybe IT generation, like technology generation, all of that, right?
Yeah.
So I think one is lack of inspiration, right? But essentially, I think it's not enough, right? Because even, I think in the Western world, they're open to their kids deciding they don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are not open to that, right?
Yeah.
And if you try, it's a problem, right? But I think the way the system works over there favors you to be able to start something. But nonetheless, it's not an excuse not to start. That's what I would say. But I think if anything, people need to see more of other people doing inspiring stuff, chasing their dreams, right? And I would say this car is called BYD.
Yeah.
The BYD stands for build your dream. And I don't know, I had to just say that because that build your dream. And I've checked out one of the cars, and yes, it feels like you're building your dream when you're in it, right? So I would say we need to see more people building their dreams, and I think you'll be inspired to see. So I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess hopefully someone watches this video and gets some inspiration on how to create their own business or startup if they're thinking on doing so. But then, so for someone who has clicked this link to watch this particular YouTube video, why should they watch the video? Who do you think should watch this video? Why should they watch it? And what value are they going to get from watching this conversation that we're about to have? Yeah.
Okay. Who should watch this video? Well, let me look at the camera. If you're a young guy or young lady and you dare to dream, like you have an idea you're trying to pursue, and most importantly, you know where you're coming from. you don't want things to repeat in your time and in your generation. And I'm talking to you that come from a poor background. I'm telling you, you have no choice but to move. But hey, what I came to realize is that oftentimes it's lack of information, right? You need to know how to move, you need to know how to do certain things, and not only knowing, right? You have to do as well, right? So if you're watching this, or I would say this video for someone that is ready to do, ready to take action, and is trying to figure out how to move, right? Hey, this video is for you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So for your next question, I want us to zoom right into your own business, your own startup. So I want to know when it first clicked for you to get inspired to start your business. Yeah, and why did you start your own business? Yeah.
Okay. The intention was not even to start a business. So I was in university
Okay.
and during my undergrad, and I co-founded a company back then called ePay. It was a fintech,
Okay.
and I think that's where things started, right? The whole concept of creating something that solves a problem and figuring out how to monetize that started from when I was in university. So when I co-founded the company, we operated for just 2 years within 2017 and 2018, and we already processed over $200,000,
Wow.
and that was super impressive. But at the time, I didn't really think much about it because I was in school studying computer science. And if I'm being honest, my co-founder Bafo and Roberta, they kind of like pulled me through, right? Because I was new to that entirely. I didn't even know what's going on. I'll just be there. Bafo would be like, "Yo, fix this or fix that, or let's do that, right?" So
Yeah.
Bafo was pretty much helping us drive the ship. But
Okay.
then a lot of learnings from that, right? So one big thing from doing that is that I came to experience what it felt like to actually think about an idea and see through with it, like go through with it, right?
Yeah.
And it went beyond just thinking about something and doing it. It taught me the full cycle. Okay, you have an idea, but before you implement it, try to get one user
Okay. Okay.
that can help you validate the idea, right? And as you're building, don't make a lot of assumptions. Don't think this is what people want. That user should be the one telling what they need, right? And then just keep implementing it and keep iterating the product. And eventually, before you realize it, you've gone far into it. And um, that's the beginning of that. And then we had to quit because, I mean, fintech, your students, license issues, and all of that, and some other long fraudulent transaction story. But
Yeah.
we quit that, right? And we pretty much just decided that, hey, we're too hungry to want to fight this kind of battle. So let's go get some jobs. But I think in 2023, that's when it really clicked for me. Because at the time, I had experience previously when I was in school. And I was already in the real world working as software engineer remotely. So I think it was me and my co-founder, Michael Sapong. We're going to, finally, we're going to Bafo's event, right, which was my first co-founder. And on our way to a break, we were just having conversations and we're asking ourselves, hey, we did a lot of freelancing for years. What is that thing we need to do to change our lives? Like, what is that thing? And for us, we saw it as legacy. So what is that thing that we would do that would impact our community? So we're just bouncing through ideas, right? And then we both clicked that a lot of the freelancing we've done, a lot of them ask for booking systems. So we always have to build like something specific for each client, right? So we're like, okay, why don't we just build one platform that everybody can use, right? And that was interesting because at the time I just decided let's do that. But my co-founder had tried it like 4 times with different people, right? And I think that was a story for him to tell. But yeah, I tried it like 4 times. And so when we decided we were going to do a booking system, it made a lot of sense because he has thought about it extensively, right?
Yeah.
And me on the other side, I mostly build, so I also have thought about it as well. So that was the moment it clicks that hey, we can actually do this, and we can actually find customers to do it. And we're doing a lot of freelancing, and with my previous experience from the past startup, there were a lot of learnings that we could transfer to this new one. So I would say that day was when it clicked that hey, we can actually do this thing, yeah, and get users, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's very great because you mentioned with your first startup, you're able to build a product, give it to the users, and then iterate when you had feedback. I think that's one of the gaps that people lack when they're trying to build a business. They People have ideas in their mind and they think once they build a product, they are going to get customers to use the product, but it doesn't work that way. You
At
have
all.
to work from the other side where the customer tells you exactly what they want, and that's where building an MVP becomes very important. But we normally think once you have an idea, you build it, then people should use it. So I think that's one point people should really carry away. So you talked about starting your first company when you're schooling, and I think for people watching this video, I think some people are working. We have
Mhm.
software engineers who are working, and some people who are probably in school and they want to start their businesses. So for me personally, it was really a challenge because I had a typical 9 to 5 job. And I mean, going to work, coming back, you'll be tired, you have your weekends and you want to rest and all of that. So it's kind of difficult to build something. It's
Mhm.
difficult to build a product. So you don't really have the time. So for my first product, which I built, it took me almost a year
Yeah.
because I was working on it this weekend, the next weekend, I'll not work on it and all of that. So, how long did it take you to build your current product that is BuukMeNow? How long did it take you to build it? And what are the challenges that you faced when you're building it in respect to um, having a work, like a 9 to 5 work, and then also working on this business? Yeah.
Hmm. I think this is one problem that a lot of people have, at least over here. I think it's a global problem actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to answer the question, but I'll come from an angle. So a lot of the decision I had to make to balance building and working, because I had a 9 to 5. In fact, I was working 2 jobs when we're building Brooklyn now, right? But what helped me was that when I was in university, I used to make music,
Okay.
and I used to shoot videos. I used to be a photographer, and I worked part time with my school as well, Lancaster University. But something I came to realize, I learned then that I think applies to everything I do is that indeed people make time for the things that they love, right?
Yeah.
The things that mean a lot to them, they make time for it. And it was practical in my life because at the time when I was in school, I only made time for academics because my parents wanted that, right? But at the same time, I made time for my music because I wanted it. They didn't even know I was making music until I told them in 2024, right? And right after saying it, I quit. But the point I'm trying to make is that if it boils down to how much do you want to change your life, right? And I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, but it really does boil down to how much you want to change your life. For me, I know where I'm coming from. I know that,
Yeah.
hey, I need to do this thing and this is where I'm headed. And if I do this thing, it'll give me more opportunities, right? And I guess starting the first one also impacted the way I think right now. The reason is we did the first one in university and we got invited by Facebook. I didn't go, but my co-founders went, right? But I also opened my mind to that. Yo, this little side project we're doing got us that recognition, right?
Yeah.
And that was insane. So it further just made me understand that all you have to do is start, right?
Yeah.
So it took me 3 months to build BuukMeNow. Well, me and my co-founder. He's a product designer, right? So I did the first round of coding, and that was 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Of course, now we have AI. I could literally build that in like a week or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back then there was no AI assisting the coding, so I built it in 3 months. And at the time, my weekends were dedicated to it, and my nights. So during the day, I would do my 2 9 to 5 jobs. They were both remote, so I guess that was where the luck came in. I would do both 9 to 5s during the day, and at night I would work on BuukMeNow. Then weekends, BuukMeNow. Nothing else comes into it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Okay.
was that was how it
That
went.
that's cool. So for me, I began to get really motivated to build Review, which is a product I'm working on currently,
Mm-hmm.
when I began to think about it this way. So let's say in 30 years, when I look back, would I be happy that I didn't spend my weekends and my nights working on this product? Because I wouldn't want to do a 9 to 5 forever. I would like
Mm-hmm.
to own a product and build a startup because that's been my dream for forever. So in 30 years, in 40 years time, which excuse would I give myself, right? I wouldn't want to regret that I didn't spend my time building this. So if I'm going to work extra hours, put time into this to build this product, then that's exactly what I have to do. So that's what motivated me to build this product and get it out. And I think people should also think about it this way. If you wouldn't be happy with your decisions in 20 or 30 years time, then you better start putting the work in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so have you reached your first 100 customers, and how long did it take you to reach the amount of customers? Yeah.
Okay. Have we reached our first 100? So we've surpassed. Yeah. On BuukMeNow, we have over 500 users on
Oh,
BuukMeNow
nice.
that are active. How long did it take us to get to the first 100? I think it took out over a year, but in the next year was able to kind of like fly to over 500. But I would say the first year we didn't get 100 the first year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If you ask me, I would say you guys don't kill me, BuukMeNow team, but I would say the first year, I would say 50 or less within the first year,
Okay.
and it was intentional for us, right? We The rule was that with every customer that we onboard, the next one has to complain less. So we take our time with each customer on board. So if we get you today, we'll make sure you use it and stress the platform. And if you have any requests, send it to us. I had people calling me at 2 a.m. requesting for features, and I'll get it done like within minutes, right? So okay. And that kind of principle kind of helped us because it became a thing that when we went past the first 1 year, it was just easier for people to just on board without calling us. And the next thing they're receiving bookings. And we're like, yo, who's like one time somebody was receiving bookings. She had just registered a couple days before prior. And then she started receiving bookings. Usually we want to call you to find out what's up. We're calling her, she was not picking. We're like, what's going on here? And then we called her, finally she picked. And she was like, oh, everything is good. Your platform is nice. We love it. Da, 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 da. Things are going good. Da, 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 da. And that's it. Till date, we've not called her, no feedback from her, but she's getting bookings, right? So yeah, so we would say that was intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's sad that people are motivated based on external triggers. So if I'm building a business and in my first year I get about 30 users, I'm going to be really down. Like, why am I getting 30 users? Do you get it? Like, I spent time building this product and I've just gotten 30 users so far. So if you focus too much on the number of users rather than what is motivating you to build a product, then you're not going to get far. The same with my YouTube channel. I mean, I remember I made a video. I really took time to make that video, and it had less than 100 less than
Views.
100 views. And I mean, I was discouraged, but I knew why I was doing this. So I mean, I put out additional videos and all of that. So I mean, don't be discouraged about the numbers. Getting users is also another learning part that people should be patient enough to follow. So yeah.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's a learning process, right? And oftentimes we want to try and skip the journey. I
Yeah.
want to skip the journey. Me, I love traveling, but I don't like the journey of trying to travel or the process that is involved with airport check-ins, bag control, everything, immigration. I don't like it, right? But I want to just teleport to the destination and back, right?
Yeah.
But so same thing in everything we are doing, we are not really comfortable with the journey. I think it's a normal thing, right? We are not comfortable with the fact that we want something. And I think it's because oftentimes when we want to start something, we are oftentimes um, comparing our current situation with the level of the people we're looking up to. And I would say that's wrong because if you look at somebody you're watching, look at Elon Musk, somebody that inspires me.
Yeah.
And I look at him, the level he's gotten to. I'm super inspired that this guy is a dreamer, he's a builder, right? Irrespective of whatever anybody says, I choose to believe he's a dreamer, a builder, an innovator, right? And it'd be wrong for me to be thinking myself, like trying to start something, I'm already thinking it has to be on the same level as, it's not possible. If anything, you're trying to set a standard for yourself that you cannot keep up with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like content creation. You've decided you want to go into content creation. And the first thing you tell yourself is, okay, I want to put out a video in the next 365 days at the beginning of the year. That is unrealistic, right? Because you don't even have the habits yet to be able to even be consistent.
Exactly.
So there are certain values, principles, and things you have to build to drive towards that goal you have, right?
Yeah.
So when we start with 1 week, 7 days, non-stop, you realize that day 3, you're already feeling like giving up. But because it's 7, psychologically, you'll be like, wait, just 7, let me just try, let me try. Before you know, you complete the 7. Next thing, okay, let me do 21 days. That's like times 3 of what I've already done. Then, okay, you've done it. Oh, wow, let me just complete the month. Before you know it, you're in there. Before you realize you've now built the habit. And as soon as you have the habits, that helps you stay consistent, right? There will be no way for you to turn back, or at least it's harder for you to give up. But if you even give up, it's easier for you to get back up, right? That's
Yeah.
what I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is collaboration and building a team to support you to build your product. And I think this is very important because of the way we have been brought up. So in SHS, in JHS, I mean junior high school, senior high school, we were brought up to think individually. So I mean you do your exams individually, we barely did group works. And even if a child does well, we praise a child. So when that child is growing up, the child is thinking, oh, I have to do things alone so that I can get praise and all of that. So the same thing affects, I see the same thing affecting people and even myself when I was building my products because I mean, I knew I'm a full stack developer. I know front end, back end, DevOps, all of that. But I didn't know how to market my products. I can't create nice flyers, all of that. So I realized I had to bring someone in. And you can't do everything on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And people get into this, they get stuck where they want to do everything themselves. So how has collaboration and team building brought you far in building BuukMeNow? Yeah.
Good question. Hmm. For me, it was hard at the beginning, right? I consider myself a lone wolf for a long time, and pretty much was doing everything myself, right?
Yeah.
And over the years, I met my co-founder, and he was a product designer and also a front-end engineer. So we worked on a lot of contracts, right, projects, and I think there was that rapport. We had become brothers, right, and we were always working together, and there was like that synergy whenever we worked, right. So it was easier to work with Michael because it was like we already know how we work. We already know how we work, right. And I am full stack. I do both mobile and web as well. And it's like I know where Mike comes in,
Yeah.
right? And when Mike gets the work, he knows when I would come in, right? So he would do his thing, and next he tell him, hey, push or pull and fix this or da 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 da. We already understood how we were working, right? But honestly, I would say collaboration is very important. For example, we had built BuukMeNow. And I'm honest with you, I'll give it to our head of business development, George. Um, the reason is we had built BuukMeNow, and I remember in 2023, December, because we rolled out BuukMeNow August of 2023. And funny enough, we didn't get in booking till like October, November,
Okay.
after months. And in December, on my birthday, I kind of like did something I've never done, which is celebrate my birthday. And to celebrate, I was like, okay, let me invite my close friends, and we're putting down a list together. About 30 people showed up to the house, and they all knew each other. It was very funny, but they never really stayed connected. But that day was
Yeah.
nice. Everybody was just talking. And the conversation of BuukMeNow came up, and George was like, oh, he wants to be part of da. Told us what he could do for us. And honestly, we were open. Okay, let's see. And in January, February, things changed.
Yeah.
I realized he's so good at what he does, right? Marketing, sales, talking to these people, having a personal relationship with these vendors, right? That are on our platform. And he's good at what he does. I'm good at what I do, right? So at the end of the day, when he came in, we benefited more from that collaboration, bringing our skills together, right? Than me trying to, okay, I want to be the one to call the customers. I want to be the one to fix the code. I want to be the
Yeah.
one to do everything, right? It will take a longer time, and if anything, I may not be able to get to where I want to, right? So I would say collaboration has helped us even grow our numbers. If you look at our numbers, a lot of the spike came from George making sure that he keeps a relationship with the service providers. So people are not just signing up alone and using the product. They have somebody that kind of feels like a relation officer that is talking to them, calling them randomly. In fact, we even shoot content for our service providers sometimes, where it goes beyond just giving them a platform to use.
Yeah.
We're even thinking about what other problems they have that we can even kind of like fix, right? And I think that's something that is different with us, right? We're not just looking at bringing something that's already working overseas and just copying and pasting it. Okay, fine. If we get inspired by some innovation out there, how do we tune it to suit our African culture, right? Because the way our people think, the way they do business is different, right? So we have to stay close to them because that's the only way we can find out exactly how they operate it. And here's the case where I've not done the service-based business before, even though I was doing it unofficially, like rendering video editing or production services. It was not like a professional level. But you have people like Spa Business, nail technicians. These are professionals in their game. They've been doing it for over 10 years, right? The amount of experience and knowledge they have in their domain, I don't think I can match up, right? So the only way is to work closely with them. But here I am writing the code. I may not be able to because I'm doing 1,001 things. And it's funny, BuukMeNow is operating, but we all have full-time jobs still because we haven't raised funds. We're pretty much just funded from our pocket and we're driving somewhere, right? So eventually we would quit and give it 100%. But even though we have our full-time jobs, we don't make it look like it's not our main thing, right? And with that said, it means everybody has to come together to put all our strengths together to make sure that it works. And yeah, that's how it's been for us, and it's been super helpful. I'm grateful for it.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. So, guys, if you're watching this, we are putting a lot of effort into creating this video. So, I would appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Just subscribe, share this video, and also leave a comment and your thoughts about what we are talking about. All right, so getting to the next question, I just want to ask a bit about compliance and the laws regarding creating businesses in Ghana. I mean, this is one part which most software developers have no idea about. I mean, they just want to create their business. I mean, last time I read something somewhere where someone said he created an app, and I think he was going to upload it on the Apple App Store, and he had to create a policy document or something. That, like, there are a lot of things that you have to do to get your product out there. So what are some of these things, like registering your business? Like, what should people look out for? Yeah.
Okay. So I think it goes beyond even you trying to build. I think generally as a young guy, young girl out there, if you're trying to change your life and it's in the line of business, register a company in the country where you are in or you're at. So in Ghana, register a company. So after you register a company, you get a certificate and you get tax ID, right? That's the thing, the tax identification number for your business. And then if it's a digital product, in this case, if it's a software like us, get data protection, you need these things. Because if you're trying to have a product that processes money online, these things are required. And the processor you're trying to use, like Paystack and the rest of them, ZP and the like, they would ask you for this document. So you might as well prepare for them, right? And then with regards to your product being out there with compliance, you see, you're building something for people to use. The terms and conditions are important. They need to be on your site. The privacy policy is also important. You'll be collecting people's data, right? They need to know how you're using this data. If you're selling to third party or at what point are the data being used, right? So I think these are the fundamental things. And essentially, these are the things you need. Nothing more complex, of course. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. So I think my next question is something you're very interested in because I've seen you put some videos concerning that. So it's about AI. So how do you think AI is changing the field when it comes to creating a product or creating a business? So what's your view on AI and the whole vibe coding stuff? And how do you think AI is going to help young people create businesses?
Okay. First things first, AI is the future. And the future is here. The future is now, right? How AI impacts the world of building. For one, when we decided to do BuukMeNow, we spent weeks, if not months, brainstorming the idea, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Yes, we wanted to make sure that we built something for customers that really worked, but there had to be research, there had to be brainstorming of what the features would be, and we also had to make sure we're building just the MVP, right? So for those people that don't know, MVP means minimum viable product. So the smallest list of features that are the core functionalities of the system, so that once you just spend a short time building those things, customers can start using them, and later you can build on top of it. We spent months brainstorming, figuring out things, and also because we had our 9 to 5, right? So it's like balancing your 9 to 5 with this idea you have, right? oftentimes you also get discouraged, sort of, because now the motivation is not there because you're distracted by your 9 to 5 or other responsibilities. But with AI now, I can literally brainstorm in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So it means AI has come to shorten the time or the distance or range between the idea stage and the execution stage, right?
Yeah.
So, or I would say, let me rephrase, AI has shortened the duration between the idea stage, right, and the shipping stage, because execution and building is what also takes a lot of time, right? But AI has shortened that process, right? There are a lot of apps out there that were built in like hours on the weekend, and they are through the roof. You know some of them, yeah. But AI is really here and has changed the game when it comes to how to execute. And I think if you're already a software engineer and you're not using AI, then I don't know, because there are also people that are not even technical, right? But they figured out how to prompt, right? As long as you know how to communicate your ideas, right, to the computer, it knows how to just get things done, right? At least for the MVP, that's what I would say. Because beyond that, maybe there's some expertise that will be needed. But I believe that if you can use AI to make an idea come to life easily and quickly, you can easily test to see if it's viable, if people even want this idea or this product or whatever it is, right? And if you find out that people are already paying for it, you can hire any professional software engineer to take over, who is still going to use AI, but this time around he knows what he's doing and can help you scale the platform or rebuild it to scale. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, just a follow up on that. So, now that AI is taking the chunk of the work, which is especially the coding part, what do you think engineers should focus on, like upscaling to? So, AI is taking part of the coding. So, what else should engineers look at doing? Yeah,
For engineers, I think AI is writing the code, yes, but you are the one doing the thinking, the architecture, you're driving it. If anything, I see you as um, the inventor that you are. I think AI has made us, at least made me see that I'm actually an inventor, right? I don't need to be the one writing how to center a div or writing the styling of a website or whatever it is, or the login systems or whatever it is, but I can be the one to say, hey, we need, because with anything I say, I've already envisioned it,
yeah,
right? And oftentimes, if you're a software engineer, most likely what you're telling to do, you can already do it, right?
yeah,
But you want to save time. And maybe some things that you can't figure out, it would help you figure it out quickly, right? So if anything, I think I see you as a person that will be driving the architecture of the work being done.
yeah,
And if you're not an engineer in the company and AI is here, I think even as an engineer, I think it gives you more time to also focus on other things. Because mind you, it would have been different if you're just a software engineer working for another company.
yeah,
Here's a case where you're building your own products and you're the engineer. I've come to realize that the engineering is just 5% of the work. Marketing and sales is the real thing. So it's either you find somebody that can help you do that, which you might not be able to afford, or you might not find somebody to kind of like partner with. I think at that point you need to start investing your time into. In fact, AI has helped you get your time back, so you won't have any excuse that, oh, I was working all night, I was coding all night, so I couldn't talk to the customer. Now you can build your soft skills. Okay, how do I talk to these people? How do I get this first customer? Okay, whilst AI is working, let me get this first user. Because if you ask me, I think all you need is one person to use your product.
yeah,
And after that one person, you can get the next one easier. So getting the first person might be the most difficult thing, but getting your 100 might not be that difficult. Because if you really solved for the first person and they're willing to pay and they are paying, the second person will be easy.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, so that's what it is.
Okay, cool. So I think we are getting close to the end. I mean, we are at the end, but there's one question I want to ask you. So I think I'll be asking people who come on this
Mhm.
show the same question. So say you wake up tomorrow, you just came out of school, no network, no capital, no BuukMeNow, nothing, and you had to start all over again. What are the things that you're going to do to get to where you are now, and what things will you do differently?
Okay. And this is assuming I already know what I know now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
let's assume that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, the first thing I would do is Honestly, a lot of things. But the first thing I would do if I'm to go back or I'm in that kind of situation is prioritize what I need the most. In this case, I think for me, my marketing and sales skills. If I don't already have it, I will try to build it. And whilst I'm building that, it means I will go sell for people, right? That was what will give me. I need the practical skills. I need to sell. I'm not going to just read marketing books. I would go sell for people, right? And whilst I'm doing that, the way the world has changed, whilst I'm doing that, I would start creating content. So to build an online following. Because at the end of the day, whatever you build, you need to market. And to market, you need to go out to people and talk to people. But
Mm.
if you already have a platform where you have a following, it's easier for you to plug whatever you're building and even help sell other people's product, right? And after I do that, after I'm building my following, right, I will slowly start selling people's things. And then
Okay.
eventually, whilst I'm selling, I'll be figuring out what is the trend, what is the common, because if I'm on the field talking to customers, I will understand more of the problems, right? That way I'll get a practical understanding of what exact problems they are going through, right? And then isolate one or a group. I'm like, okay, I will solve this and try to monetize it. But before even solving it, I can get them to make some financial commitment to see if they actually want this thing badly, as I think, right?
Okay.
And at that point, when I've gotten those wait list or those users ready to pay, then I'll go build it. And with AI now, over the weekend, you can get it done. You can build just the MVP, give it to them. They can start paying right away. So
Yeah.
I would say initially, I would have gone from I'm a builder, so I usually would go from thinking, building, looking for customers. But no, I would reverse it now. So I will go from getting the customers first before building. Whilst
Okay.
I'm doing that, building a social media following because that is very important these days. It's an asset. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how it would be for me.
Okay.
So what
Okay.
about you though?
Yeah, for me, so so for me, there's this book that I read, and I think Diary of the CEO. Stephen Bartlett wrote a book
Okay.
that I read. I've forgotten the exact title, but then there are these five buckets that he mentioned, which everyone has to kind of build, right, and fill up. So I think there's a knowledge bucket, the skills bucket, the network bucket, your resources, and also your reputation. So when you look at the end of the bucket, so your network, your reputation, and also your resources, right, those can come later. But when it comes to your knowledge and your skills, those are the two buckets that you should focus on filling and getting it done, right? So if I should wake up tomorrow, no resources, no capital, and I have to start, I would look at, so as you said, right, I've seen that marketing and sales is what drives a product
Yeah.
because that is what introduces your product to the customers. So I'm really going to get myself knowledgeable on how I can sell my products to customers, how I can talk to them, how I can convince them to buy that product. And
But by selling to them.
exactly. So as far as I get those skills in place and I have the knowledge of how to build a product, then I'll
Mhm.
just spend some time in building the product and then selling it to them. Also, you mentioned MVPs. So if they give me feedback, I go back, work on a product and give it to them as soon as I can. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do. And also, you mentioned creating, building a social following, right? I think I think I saw a post the last time someone was saying that creating a social media account is like a new CV, right?
Yeah.
Because back in the days, people write their CVs what they have done, but right now people are looking at what you have already done, what shows that you can do this. So as soon as possible, I'll start on Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube, and talk about what I'm building and building public. So that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I love it 100%. And I agree about the social media part. I read something somewhere. They said employers are more likely to hire people that have a huge, maybe an engaging social media following,
Okay.
right? The reason is it's better for them because at the end of the day, they're trying to sell something, right?
Yeah.
If you already have influence out there, right, they want to associate themselves with you, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it aligns, right, with what they are doing. Some of them, they don't really care. They just want to make sure that you have a following. Not all industries, but these days it's very important. These days
Okay.
it's very important. So yeah, if I want to start over, definitely that is what I would get right. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Cool. So Peter, thank you very much for showing up and
Thank you for having
having
me.
this conversation with me. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Pleasure.
All right. Thanks.